So, did you just purchase some mats and you're clicking into this to want to know how to make them last longer? Well, one thing that is just something that across the board I suggest is to save the plastic dust cover that comes on your mat when you purchase it. And what we're going to be doing today to help you preserve your mat is to show you how to make these little decals to put on your dust cover. Now I have this little Cricut C, and that is so that I know whether this is the side that has been touching the adhesive side or if it's the side that's been possibly getting tons of little debris and dust from the atmosphere and air on top of it. So ideally you don't want the part that has the dust on it to lay down on your sticky part of your mat. If you keep doing that over and over and over again, over time, those little particles and dust and debris are possibly going to affect our mat. And keeping it covered nicely is just going to help prolong the life of it. And if you buy Cricut brand mats, they're pretty pricey. So no matter what kind of mat you have, you could do this project and just kind of do whatever we can to prolong the life of them. So today we're going to be taking these cute little decals and placing them on our dust covers. I thought that this would be an excellent Cricut beginner's craft to do. However, when I actually did all of the weeding, I thought, you know what? I would start with just the Cricut C's first. If you're a newbie or a total beginner to Cricut, start with just doing the C's. And the C's are really going to be more beneficial than these cute little Cricut cuties anyway, because if you have it flipped backwards and your C is backwards, then you'll know that your dust cover is backwards. So for tutorial purposes, I'm going to do both of them just to show you how stinking cute these are and how they're also going to be helpful and beneficial to keep our mats lasting as long as possible. And I'll give some tips and tricks along the way to help you. So let's get right into this. Let's get started. I love using my brayer to adhere my material onto my mats, but that's not necessary. You are going to have some type of a weeding tool, and then a ruler is optional, and you are definitely going to have some type of a transfer tape. Now I do have Cricut brand, but there are other types out on the market and those will work just fine. And you'll need some type of a scraper tool that's going to help you burnish your project. I'm going to be using, let's see, the Premium Vinyl Summer Sampler is where I'm getting the colors for the adhesive vinyl that I'm going to be using.
So we are in Cricut Design Space right now. What you're going to want to do is look up C is for Cricut, or just type in Cricut Cutie, and you should be able to find all of these images. And if you don't want to just look up the images and size them and find them all for yourself, and you just want this already created design, go ahead and click into my description in this YouTube video and look for the link to this project. And you're going to click into it, and then you're going to have to open it up in Design Space, and then you can just simply go up and click Make It. And if this happens to be your very first project ever, you're going to put your adhesive vinyl onto your mat. This screen will prompt you to ask you what material you're using. You're going to want to select whatever material it says. So if it happens to be premium vinyl, then you're going to click premium vinyl on the material. Set your mat with the vinyl on top of it in your feed guides on your machine, and then you're going to hit the feed button, and then you're going to click the play button or go button depending on what machine you have, and then it's going to cut all of this out for you on your vinyl. And then once you're done doing that, you will weed your material.
I'm using my Cricut Maker today to cut this project. I wanted everyone to feel like it's something they could do. I believe all the images that I use in Cricut Design Space are also free images. So I think even if you don't have Cricut Design Space, you can do this project, or Cricut Access and membership. So I'm gonna go ahead and let that cut. I've got a lot of little cuties cutting. They do take quite a bit with the details to get them cut, and then I will meet you back. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments and I'd be happy to answer. So I have all my vinyl cut, and I just wanted to say that if you're a beginner, when you're going to take your vinyl off of your mat, always put it face side down or design side down to remove the vinyl. One of the reasons for this is because as you're pulling away, you could actually pucker it, pull it up, wrinkle it. So that's one of the main reasons why when we say as creators or crafters, put your mat face side down. For pretty much all projects, it's just good to get in that habit. So if you're a beginner, what you want to do is you want to make sure you have some tools handy, specifically a weeding tool and maybe even a spatula. Now the spatula I use a lot to hold down my material as I'm weeding. And the term weeding basically means just like when your lawn is full of weeds and you want to pluck away what you don't want or don't need. That's pretty much what weeding is when you're doing crafting and creating. You're removing the excess vinyl that you don't need and leaving behind just your project that you want. So I'm just going to go ahead and weed just for tutorial purposes and suggestions. Always start in the corner to lift it up with your weeding tool, and then once you have that, then you're going to want to weed on an angle. And with adhesive vinyl, it can often be a little bit trickier than with iron-on. Iron-on tends to weed, I feel, a lot easier because it's not as sticky and you don't have to worry about it sticking to itself. So weeding little tiny details and pieces like this can be a little more time consuming. So just take your time with weeding. Don't rush the process. Use the tools that you have to try to hold down and work with. Use your fingers as needed, but try not to touch the actual design part that you want to keep. It's okay to touch the backing of the weeded part that we don't need. Make sure that you are very careful to not touch the backing that is going to be your actual project. You don't want to compromise it from being able to stick to the surface that you want to apply it to. Okay, so I'm going to weed all of these and I'll see you back. And if you have any questions that I didn't cover so far, drop them in the comments and I'd be happy to answer and help you out. Okay, so I have all my little pieces weeded and I'm gonna put them on my mat. Make sure you've got some transfer tape and a squeegee. Okay, and then just lay it flat. Roll that backing off nice and slow. See how that C kind of lifted up as it curved around there? There. And then I'm just going to line it up in this little space up here, that 2x2 square. All right. Looks cute. Gotta burnish it down just a little bit there. And I'm just working on an angle, pulling that off. Do one little swipe there. And if that's all you're gonna do, then that would be the end of your project and then move on to your next mat. If you're gonna go all out with the extra and do these little Cricut cuties too, then what I'm doing is I'm kind of centering them in this little 4x4 square right in the center. But you can put it wherever you want. If you want to put him all the way down at the bottom, you can. So you're just gonna throw that transfer tape on. A lot of times I use my transfer tape to help me line up my projects, and I use those little grids as a measurement to help me kind of align everything. But today I'm just kind of doing this really quick, and if it were a more permanent project, and it's gonna be something that I want to last for as long as possible, like a decal on a mug or a cup or a sign or something like that. I really think that if you do have the type of transfer tape that has grid lines on them, I would highly suggest using them to your advantage to help line up your projects. It's kind of nice. It's like having a built-in little ruler. Okay, so I'm just gonna line this up in the middle of this 4x4 space, kind of looking at his feet. The center has feet in there. That looks good to me. And then I'm just gonna kind of roll him up there nice and easy. Now I'm just gonna burnish on where he needs to stick down, his little arms and legs and cute little Cricut antennas and face, a little smiling face. And then I'm gonna work on an angle, taking these off, taking off the transfer tape. You'll see me say I'm gonna work on an angle sometimes and then I don't. It's because as you're pressing down, if you kind of have to move this around to make it work so that it's not pulling up your project, then do what you need to do. Oh my goodness, as I'm chatting here, his little eyeball wasn't sticking down. Okay, so take your time. I'm gonna take my time. Push down as you're rolling. See, push down. They start to pop back up, just slow down, push down, and roll that right off. Super cute. There might be a little bit of a glare because of these dust covers, but aren't they stinking cute? I just love how they turned out. Thank you so much for joining me. If you found benefit, make sure that you hit the like button on this video. And if you want to join me for future crafting tutorials, please hit the subscribe. And if you really love this project enough, share it. Share it on social media. And make sure to check out my next video.